All right, what's up, everybody? It is me, your host. If we haven't met before, I'm the Uber Mormon. Nice to meet you. The Uber Mormon it's a play on words. It takes from Nietzsche's Ubermensch. The Ubermensch could inherit the frameworks of their time, absorb them, grow from them, and then move beyond them. And that's what we try to do here at the channel. We take the good stuff from Mormonism, we move past it, we move beyond it, we absorb it, and we now have the strength of a full grown man and a young baby. So, welcome. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Today, okay, so on the last few videos, even though they were a while ago, I started doing a thing where we have a drink together while we do our video. And it's a little late. It's the middle of December. It's been a heavy drinking month. Not that I'm that heavy of a drinker, but lots of family parties. I'll have a cocktail or whatever. So to keep it light today, we have this, my favorite so far non-alcoholic beer. I'm one of those weird ones. I drink alcohol entirely for the flavor. I actually don't want to get drunk. Sometimes it could be a fun addition, and that kind of sweeps over me like, I don't know, once every couple months. I'm like, man, it would be fun to get like a little toasted right now. But really what I want is I love making Manhattans. I love making old fashions. Just for a recent Christmas party, I did a batch maple syrup old fashioned. It was great. I cut it with club soda, made it into like an old fashioned maple highball. It was great. I love mixing new drinks and trying them. And my favorite one, I have a couple of favorites. I don't know why I'm talking about this right now. I love Negronis, but I hate Campari. Okay, Campari is the bitter element of a Negroni. So I learned about a cocktail called a Contessa, which is basically a Negroni with Aperol, which is kind of a sweet, still very citrusy, but it's a sweeter version of it. And you change that. You put that in instead of the Campari, and it's so much better. So I love a Contessa. I love a Boulevardier, which is basically a Negroni with bourbon instead of gin. I just like the flavors. Anyway, I'm getting off track. This video today. So first of all, we're gonna pour ourselves a nice beer. I love having a big growler like this, and this is how you pour a beer. For those of you who don't know, it has to be as messy and foamy as possible. Here's why. If you don't pour and get all the foam out now, guess where that's going? In your stomach. That's why you burp like crazy when you drink beer. I hate it. So you do a big messy pour. It'll take about 2 pours to get it all out because otherwise it'll foam all over the place. But anyway, that's not the point of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I started leaving the church, and I think the last time I went because I wanted to go was in 2017. And then got married early 2018 and never went back. And so I'm kind of approaching 8 years since I've been a part of the church. I ended up removing my records in 2021. I want to say that was July 4th of 2021. I think that's what my last video might have been about. It's been a while since I don't really remember. But the point is, it's been 8 years, and so I've been racking my brain over the last little bit thinking about what have I learned since leaving the church. I feel like 95% of my personal development in my life has happened since leaving the church. And so if I could distill, for anybody watching who's in the process of leaving, they've been gone for a while, maybe you're not even in the process yet of leaving, you're in the process of trying to figure out if you can give yourself permission to question it. Anybody on that spectrum of experience, what could I talk to them about? What could I inform them of? What could I share with them that would add value to their life? And so I've come up with 8 lessons that I've learned in the 8 years since I've been out of the church. And I want to start with the first one, which is the most obvious one, and it's in Mormonism. I heard the phrase a million times, everything happens for a reason. I don't think that anymore. I never thought that. Even when people said it and I was Mormon, it would just grind my gears. There's a reason everything happens. is how I respond now. They say everything happens for a reason. You go, I think there's a reason everything happens. I'm not going to put the cart before the horse and say that everything happens for a reason, because that kind of insinuates that in the great distant beyond, there's a chess move going on here, and one day it will all make sense. I know it will all make sense one day. It's just that I think that will happen when I make sense of it. Humans are great at recognizing patterns and adding meaning to things and justifying things and taking something that hurt us really badly and reframing it. That's what this video is about, is reframing something that was painful for me. And that's what this whole channel is about. So yes, I know that one day it will all make sense, but that'll only happen because one day I'll make sense of it. And so along with that whole everything happens for a reason, no, there's a reason everything happens. What I've come to learn, and this is lesson number 1, you are responsible for the direction of your life and the outcomes of your life. See, Mormonism teaches us that we're responsible for the outcome. I remember on my mission, there was a magazine, there was a talk that I read about. I didn't read about it. I'm trying not to edit this, so I'm doing a lot of live editing, and I'm probably going to have to do some editing, but just bear with me, because the main... Why am I telling you this now? I'm probably going to cut it out. No, I'm not. Making a commitment to myself to not cut any of this out. I almost just spilled this non-alcoholic beer. The number one bottleneck of me making these videos is that I am a perfectionist when it comes to the edit. Video editing is one of my favorite things to do. I love how relaxing it is, but the period of life that I'm in right now with my kids, I simply can't do it. And so I have decided that the only way that I'm going to put videos out on a regular basis if I simply surrender the perfectionism that I have towards video editing, and I just let it fly as it is. So that means that I'm going to stumble through my words a lot more. Not a lot more. I was always doing it. I was just cutting it out, but I'm just going to let it happen because I love making these videos, and I don't want this time. I don't want to stop doing it. So I'm sorry. I was reading a talk, and it was like Your 4 Minutes on Earth. That's probably the title. I could look it up and I'd probably find it. But it was about how you could train all you wanted for the Olympics. And it was about bobsledding, I think. You could train all you want for the Olympics, but when the race actually starts, all of the training that you've done is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is how you perform now, where you will end up. And if you perform how you hope, then you'll win a gold, and then you'll have a gold forever. In fact, the amount of training that you did is most of your life, and the amount of time that you'll have to live with the result is most of your life. But those 4 minutes are all that matter. And so the point of it was, you spent eternity with God before, and you're going to spend eternity with your consequences after. Why not make them good? It's a very fear-mongering way to do it. But the point isn't to run someone else's race. It's to run your race. And sometimes it takes us a long time to figure out what our race is, and sometimes we get impatient with that. And we feel like all that matters is the outcome, but you get to choose the direction beforehand. Don't skip that step. Dive into yourself. Figure out what's important to you. Do what you want to do. Dedicate your life to something that you would consider to be meaningful. That's rule number 1. Sorry, not number 1. Lesson number 1. All right. Now, following on with my rule misspeak there, we get into lesson number 2, which is this came to me one day while I was listening to some music. It was funny to me that some songs have crazy guitar solos in them and have lived on for generations. And then some songs have crazy guitar solos in them, and nobody's ever listened to the song. I have kind of a weirder taste in music. I'm a big Midwest emo guy and math rock guy. And so it feels like a lot of the music that I listen to are not the classics. And then I thought, nobody knows beforehand if it's going to be a classic or not. They're just putting guitar solos in these songs. And then I thought, you could put a guitar solo in every song. There's not a rule against it. It's not just like, well, this one's going to be a classic, so we got to put it in this one. Sweet Child of Mine, Don't Stop Believin', Living on a Prayer. I can't think of many more classic songs off the top of my head, but they'll come to me. But that's not the point anyways. You could just put it in. There are no rules. All of the rules that we are living with in society right now are basically just like social contracts that have worked out for us well before. And so instead of ruffling everybody's feathers, we just do it again. But like, you can question things and just change the rules if something's not working for you. There's no like, you're not going to get in trouble later on for the thoughts that you have. You will maybe regret not pursuing some of the thoughts that you have. But like, there's nobody up there keeping score, I guess. And so if you want to add a little like extra dazzle to your day, whatever that means to you, if it makes you happy and it's not hurting somebody and it's reiterable, it's repeatable, then give it a shot. See how it feels. You can always say no tomorrow. Lesson number 3. Nothing matters. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, I don't know for sure if nothing matters. That's just the thing that I jumped to after Mormonism, is I went through a period of nihilism. If you say nihilism, get off my channel. Dislike this video. Never watch another one again. That's mostly talking to the British people, which I don't think there are any, but I'm not sure that British people watch this yet. But if you ever do, it's nihilism. The idea that nothing matters was the scariest idea right after leaving Mormonism, because everything matters. Literally everything matters in Mormonism. Do you drink coffee? That matters a lot to God, apparently. Do you, they changed it now, but do you like show a little shoulder when you go on a walk? That matters. That makes God very upset. Do you sometimes think mean thoughts? That matters a lot. My brain broke when I first read 1984, because the way that Big Brother was surveying, what's his name? Wilson? I think it's Wilson. I could Google it, but that would cut the flow and then I'd lose my train of thought. So Big Brother would watch everybody in 1984. And I realized that Big Brother was living inside of my head for 24 years of my life. And Big Brother made it feel like everything mattered so much, and there was so much gravitas to everything that happened to me and everything that I did and everything that I thought. The whole like, your thoughts will become your words and your words will become your actions and your actions will lead you either to heaven or hell. It's back to that 4 minutes on the clock thing. And that's just not true. And there's something freeing about it. I was having an argument. It's not an argument. One time I went on Jacob Hansen's channel. Shout out Jacob. And I was talking to him and Hayden. Shout out Hayden. What if I did that every time I mentioned somebody? I know a lot of ex-Mormons hate those two. I think they're nice guys. Whatever. We were talking about, and I didn't make this point very well because I just couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't make this point. It didn't come to me. I couldn't be eloquent. I think it was midnight. It doesn't matter. The point is, they were acting like, if nothing matters, then ... kill everything. Create as much chaos and pain as possible. Like, that's just the formula. And what I've realized since then is that nothing matters. Therefore, do what makes you and others happy. It's the same jump. It's the same math as nothing matters. Therefore, kill everything and hate everything. Make others miserable. There's really no correlation between those two outcomes. There will be people. I'm a big fan of a podcast called Money for Couples, And one of the things that the host very frequently talks about is there could be a family, maybe they have 2 kids, and they're kind of poor their whole lives. The kids grow up, and kid 1 says, I've been poor before, I can be poor again. It's no sweat off my back. And kid 2 will say, I've been poor before, and I don't want to go back to that. So I'm going to work as hard as I can to prevent that for the rest of my life. And these kids had very similar upbringings. There's no math, there's no formula that would predict which kid will go which way on that. It just happens. And that's how I feel about nothing mattering. Nothinging mattering is that there's no formula to it. Nothing matters, therefore fill in the blank. Do what feels right to you. If that's a scary thought for you, if the idea of nothing mattering terrifies you, then reframe that. You know those optical illusions where they say if you look at it long enough, you'll see a face, and you're looking at this thing and you're like, I don't see a face. I would love to see a face. I cannot see a face. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's the face. And now you can't see it how it was before, right? You can change the way that you see things. I just don't think that you can change your instant reaction to something. And so if at first the idea of nothing mattering, sends you down the dark side of nihilism, then, analyze that, sit with it, don't judge it. If there's simply no way for you to see the other side of it, then figure out another way to interpret everything mattering. Or maybe some things matter and some things don't. I don't know. But it was really scary for me. And then one day I simply saw it the other way, and I just haven't been able to go back. Cheers, by the way, if you have your non-alcoholic brew with you. Rule number 4, religion is medicine. I've said this in other videos. It bears repeating because it's the most compassionate view that I can possibly have on my Mormon self and those who are close to me who are still Mormon. Any religion, really, because the whole point is that religion is medicine. It's very possible that... Okay, so I had a conversation with an old roommate once, and we were talking about... he asked me the question, if you could open up an envelope right now, and it would tell you if God is real and if Mormonism is true, and it would guarantee it would be the correct answer, would you open the envelope or not? And I said, of course I would. Obviously I would. I'm here because it's true, and I want the truth, and so if there's an envelope that will just explain that to me very briefly, then that would be great. And I said, what would you do? And he said, I would not open it. I'm here for the comfort that it gives. And if there's even a chance that envelope is going to give me something that doesn't reinforce my comfort, then I don't want it. And that was mind-blowing for me. I'd never had a thought like that before. I'd never had a conversation like that before. And it kind of makes me think that maybe there are, and I've heard John DeLynn talk about this. I don't remember what he calls the first one, but there are validity Mormons, and then there was another type of Mormon that also started with a V. But it was basically saying that there are Mormons who are here for the truth, and there are Mormons that are here for the comfort. And I don't think it's just Mormons. I think Jews are religious for the comfort and the family tradition of it. I think Catholics are there for the comfort. I think Muslims are there for the comfort. I think everybody's there for the comfort. And the truth feels like an added bonus. But if anything ever isn't true anymore, then all of your comfort goes away. And it's very hard to to argue on behalf of truth when you're really there for the comfort. And sure, maybe people say, I'm taking this medicine because it's true. And maybe they're not entirely sure the reason that they're taking the medicine. Maybe deep down there's a part of them that knows that they're really doing it because it makes them comfortable. Maybe they say they're taking it because it's true, but they're not. And they don't even know it. It's not a crazy surprise to me that that humans could be doing something and the reason why they're doing it isn't entirely clear to them. Like there are people who take drugs that they regret taking. There are people who drink too much alcohol and then feel bad about it. There are people who do all sorts of things that they regret. I constantly tell myself that I want to work out more and I don't do it as much as I want to. And I can't figure out what part of me is not like doing its part. But what I know is it's not my job to tell somebody that their medicine is a placebo. I don't even know for sure what type of pain they're experiencing. I don't know what their symptoms are. And when I was Mormon and I was so addicted to certainty, I thought that I knew all of the medicine that everybody else needed. And the truth is, I have no fucking idea what anybody else needs. And so to be on this high horse of, well, Mormonism, blah, 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 I'm not trying to convert anybody to my thing. In fact, that might be a rule later. I can't remember if I'm supposed to talk about it now or not, but if you're not the one hurting, then you don't get a say in what medication they take. If it seems crazy to you, that's probably because for you it would be crazy. But you're not them and they're not you. So we're all just doing our best here. And that's kind of rule 6. Sorry, I keep saying rule and I mean lesson. Lesson 5. I can't believe I'm only on lesson 5. I told myself I was going to do this video in 20 minutes. I'm not good at gauging my time. I read this today. I'll put it on the screen. There was a post in the ex-Mormon subreddit by a person called mediocre paramedic _ shout out. And they said, I guess on some podcast, I've not looked into this at all. John DeLynn said that he still considers himself Mormon. And it says in quotes here, so much good about Mormonism, unquote. And that he asked to go back to sacrament meeting. What are your thoughts? I feel betrayed. It's not personal. Mormons, this is lesson 5. Ex-Mormons carry so many of Mormon traits into ex-Mormonism, and we gotta leave that shit behind. Not immediately. I know it's who we are, and I know that it takes a long time to like get those thoughts and feelings out of us, but Mormons have such a persecution complex. They think that God is going to help them find their keys. They think that God is telling them where to move. They think that they're the center of the universe. They're going to be gods one day. They think they have this like lifeline to heaven. And what that creates, in my opinion, is a very self-centered group of people. And that can follow you out. And it's not personal. This person, just hearing John DeLynn say, I want to go back to sacrament meeting. And I don't know the context of any of this, by the way. I'm just reading a Reddit post. So if I've got it totally off base, then I've got it totally off base. But it's not about you, man. Whatever he's feeling, whatever medicine he thinks he needs to take or not take, or whatever reasons why he misses it, it doesn't fucking matter. He's not the prophet. We left a place that had a prophet, and everything that the prophet said we had to do and we had to think and we had to agree with. We had to go off like Nephi. We had to receive our own confirmation that what the prophet said was true, and then we had to figure out how to be okay with that if we weren't okay with that. And that's just not how it is on the other side. Other people can all think what they want to think. I grew up in a family, one side of my family is all from Uruguay. And so, and I've had it on live streams before, but I drink mate. I drink that green shit that Messi drinks. And I drink it twice a day, and I bring it to work with me every day, and that's just part of my ritual. And I was raised like that. And at one point, my family that drinks it was asked, back when I was Mormon, hey, if the prophet came out tomorrow and said, you can't drink this anymore, would you do it? And they were like, yeah, of course. Of course. I would not love it, but I would do it. And we don't have that anymore. Isn't that awesome? We can be like, you know what? I'm glad that works for that guy. I'll still probably drink it. Like, it's not about you. The world doesn't revolve around you. Everybody's just doing the best that they can. We're all following the incentives that are laid out before us. We're all operating on the information that we have. It's not about you. And I kind of just did lesson 6 and lesson 5 together. Lesson 6 is we're all just trying our best. I guess the only thing I would add to this, and I know I've said this in multiple videos now, it wasn't until I stopped, it's not believing. Believing isn't the right word, but I'll use it for lack of a better word. Maybe I won't. I'm not really convinced that we're free agents like we were taught we were. I don't think agency goes as far as we think. I think a lot of I heard once that if you're doing something that you don't like, and you ask yourself why 5 times, you might be able to get to the root of the problem. And it went something like this. I spent way too much this month. I went out to lunch every day, and I really don't have room for that in my budget. Okay, why? Well, I feel so rushed in the morning. I didn't really take the time to pack a lunch. And so I go out and I order food. Okay, why are you feeling so rushed in the morning? I think it's because I'm not really getting up when my alarm goes off. Why aren't you doing that? I think I'm staying up way too late, and I just like trying to have fun, trying to hang out with my friends, doing whatever it is, and then I run out of time in the morning. I can't do that, so I'm going to do this. Why are you staying up so late? Feeling generally disconnected at work, and like my social life isn't going great, and so I don't know. I'm just doom scrolling at night, and just like bedtime comes and I feel like I haven't done anything all day, and I'm feeling guilty about the fact that I'm spending more than I should be spending, blah, blah, blah. And okay, and then you could get a prescription from that. Okay, you're feeling disconnected. Maybe you need to call. Is there a friend that you could call on your drive home? Maybe they're also driving home from work. Maybe you could connect with them. Are you married? Are you dating? Maybe you could talk to them about this. Maybe you could like, hey, girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse or whatever. I keep having to go out for lunch. Maybe we could take a Saturday, we could hang out for a little bit, but we could also meal prep or we watch a show or something. Like, if you ask yourself why 5 times, you might get to the root cause of something. But the point of this is, I don't know if we have as much agency as we think we have, or as we were taught that we had when we were Mormon. I think that we're operating on the 5 whys. I think that we're operating based on the stuff that was kind of ingrained in us as children. I think we're operating based on the way that our genetics respond to our environment, kind of like that poor family example that I gave earlier. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. And so we're all just doing our best. Suddenly I could be so compassionate toward people who I felt like were doing the wrong thing or hurting me or didn't give me what I wanted emotionally, all of that. When I said, if they had it in their environment and their DNA to do that for me, they would do it. They don't have it. So I could tell them that this is something that I feel like I'm missing, give them another chance. But if they still can't do it, that just might not be a thing that they can do. What's that saying? Like a cup can only overflow with what it has. If somebody's not feeling good about themselves, it's going to be really hard for them to overflow goodness onto you, and vice versa. So All right, I'm going to check my camera battery, not battery, my timer one more time. All right, I'm 13 minutes in, so I think I can get these last two out. Now, lesson number 7 is kind of a combination of some previous rules, but I think it needs to be said like this. Life is hard enough without a villain. You don't need a villain. Within the theology of Mormonism, the natural man is often to blame. Satan is often to blame. Other people's agency or the evil of others is often to blame. When you step out, you realize that there's enough shit going on. I don't need to add fake villains to my life. Oftentimes, other people aren't intending to hurt you if they are hurting you. I'm not saying that nobody's ever purposefully hurt another person, but I think 9 times out of 10, they either don't know that it's painful to you, or they didn't mean to do it. And so having more honest conversations with people about what's going on can decrease the bad stuff that happens to you, but you're never going to remove the villains because they're already gone. They're not trying to do something to you. This kind of goes with an earlier point when I was reading the John DeLynn thing and how that one person took it so personally. When the church changes, I know that there's a tendency, because we've experienced it, to feel so hurt by something. And I was talking to my wife about this recently because the garments changed, and modesty is more of a hammer that bashes the women. It never affected me very much when I was growing up. And so I know that I have a different perspective on this, and I'm not trying to shit on anybody else's perspective. But when the church changed the women's garments so that they were skinnier or whatever, I know a lot of girls personally who are posting things on social media about how is the church not apologizing for this? They made me feel so bad about my body, and now it's just fine, and now it's just over, and now I just have to deal with it. And I sympathize with that. I know that's hard for people. But the church also isn't doing it to you. They're just doing it because they have internal reasons why they think it's the best move for them to make. It's not about you. In your own life, sure, it's like your life is about you in as much as any life can be about anyone. But they're not doing it because they know it's going to fuck with your head. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're more, it's more like a bunch of old guys scrambling, trying to figure out how to get people to stop leaving, than a bunch of evil people trying to be as evil as possible. I think that's really what it is. And so when your family members send you a message about conference, or when your parents ask about a tattoo or whatever, like, they're not doing it because they hate you. They think that you want the medicine. Remember? Remember from before when you thought that the other people wanted the medicine? Like, is it that? And I was about to say, is it really that inconceivable? Can you not remember? But sometimes I'll see things on social media where I saw a video not that long ago where this girl was like, it would be really great if I could just leave the church because this person said this to me, or because this happened one time in the chapel or whatever, but it turns out it's true, so I can't leave. And I was like, I was almost like stunned for a second. I was like, oh yeah, people still think that all of that happened. That's insane. But then I quickly said, oh yeah, I used to think that. I guess I can kind of get there, but it feels so foreign. I mean, this is I'm literally on year 8 of being like, that might be bullshit. So, okay. Rule 8. I keep saying rule. If I was editing this, it wouldn't matter, but I'm not. Lesson number 8. You have to leave Mormonism 2 times. You leave the first time when you walk out of the doors and never go back. But you leave a second time when you've found all the parts of it that are still in you and you decide what you want to do with them. Because they're like building blocks. I've talked about this in a very old video at this point. All of the things that Mormonism gave you are building blocks toward an ideology. And being stuck in an ideology is bad, but having the building blocks and having a judgment-free zone in your brain where all building blocks are okay, that's fine in my opinion. And so what I don't want to see, and this is for me more than it's for anybody else, but I guess my view is that, like, to simply say, this is what the church would want me to do, so I'm going to do the exact opposite. That's weak, in my opinion, because you're still doing something because of how the church would feel about it. Why don't you say, okay, this building block here, what do I want to do with this? I know the church loves it. Could be useful in other ways. Maybe I don't want it. What am I going to do with this thing? Maybe I'll build something else with it. There's nothing wrong with using the tools that I was given from the Mormon Church and applying them to other directions if I've already decided that those are directions I want to move in. And if I can see clearly that this tool would help me move in that direction, then I'll keep it. I'm not just throwing it away because they touched it. Am I 6? I'm 6 years old now. My brother touched the toy and now I'm mad at him. So even though it's my favorite toy, I'm going to throw it in the toilet. Yeah, because I'm 6 years old. That's stupid to me. So you have to leave again. And it's frustrating to me. You have to stop trying to give other people the medicine. You have to stop thinking that you have everyone else's problems, all the solutions to their problems in your brain. You don't have that. You barely have your own solutions. And it consumes your day to figure out your own solutions. And you just have other people. Yeah, just leave the church. That'll fix it. Maybe it won't. Maybe their life will get much, much worse because they left the church. I'm going to check my time one more time. I wasn't what you would consider a successful missionary. That immediately makes me laugh because like by month 7 I was a zone leader, and by whatever month I ended up being assistant, and I helped do changes and all that shit for like 5 transfers. I spent a lot of time in the office with the president and his wife. And I still go to reunions if they're around. I love all those people. But I only baptized one person in South America, if you can believe it. And I helped another kid get baptized. And for like when I got back, while I was out there, it was all about like, you know what? Success in the mission is more about converting yourself than converting others. And then I left and became this, which made me feel even less like it was successful. Not that I would even rate it on a scale of successful to unsuccessful at this point. But the point of saying all of that is the 2 people who I think I did help enter the church, I'm almost positive that both of their lives are better because of it. I didn't know that it wasn't true when I brought them to it. Now I'm about 99% sure that it's not true, but I still don't think that I did them a disservice. The first woman was, this is always funny to me. Everyone else always got referrals and whatever. The only people who I helped were people who I knocked on their door and just started talking to them. I think that's funny for some reason. Her name was Luce, I believe. And she had a 3-year-old. And about a year before I met her, she had had an abortion. And she was tortured emotionally and mentally from that. I could tell something was off because as soon as we stopped by, she just had so many questions about what happens after we die, where do we go, what about my kids, well, how do my kids, what if they die young? She was just like really profoundly affected by losing her second child. And she was like a different person after she got baptized, and she didn't feel guilty about it anymore. And like it made her sad, but like she smiled all the time afterwards, and I just feel so much lighter and all this stuff. And I was like, like she needed that placebo. And I would never want her to find out that it's a placebo at this point. I wasn't able to keep in good contact with her. She ended up leaving the area that I was in, going very far away, and I never spoke to her or heard from her again. But like, I don't even really remember where I was going with that, other than the fact that it might not be the worst thing in the world for some people to find comfort in something that you disagree with. Whether that's politically, whether it's in terms of religion, whether it's like whatever it is. You know, if somebody's in a relationship that you don't fully understand, like, hey man, it's not your relationship, I don't know what to tell you. But you have to leave. You have to leave twice, and the second time could take a long time. And even 8 years later, I'm still finding ways that like I haven't left all the way. But when I see those little stones in my subconscious, I don't immediately hate them or think that they're stupid or I'm wrong for having it. I just, okay, well, how do I really feel about this? The conditioning is gone. The emotional weight, the gravitas is gone. What do I think? And sometimes I keep them and sometimes I get rid of them. But anyway, I appreciate those of you who are here. Thanks for watching. I'm not going to edit this. I'm being serious about that. It might totally ruin my channel, and I hope it doesn't, but like this is more for me than it is for anybody else, and I miss the ability that I have to express myself this way. I often wonder about, you know, I'm right now I'm raising 2 young boys who are going to have no connection whatsoever to Mormonism other than the fact that one side of their family is Mormon. And sometimes I ask myself if I'm coming to the realization that I was in a false religion opened my mind so much that sometimes I wonder if I'm actually doing them a disservice by never allowing them to experience that. And I think the good outweighs the bad in terms of what I'm doing with them right now. And I think it's better for them to be raised without it. And maybe I can think of other ways to help them be open to experience. But I don't know for sure. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I want to have a way one day that I could try and explain to them what this was like for me. And so that's what these, I mean, yes, they're fun for me to make. yes, it's fun for me to interact with you guys, but this is like, how will I explain to these two little guys one day that, like, your dad went through some weird emotional shit in his early 20s, and maybe this could help you understand me more or feel closer to me when I'm gone one day or whatever. So anyway, again, thank you all for watching. Those are the 8 lessons that I've learned in 8 years, and I'm sure that there are a lot more and a lot more to come. So cheers. I'll take a drink, don't worry.